Hey everyone, welcome to today's deep dive. We are examining the unprecedented friction between the United States and NATO right now, stemming from the recent U.S.-Iran conflict. But before we get into all the wreckage, a quick thanks to VirPoint for bringing you this deep dive. They're a leading CFD brokerage designed to make investing and trading simple, providing the tools you need to capitalize on market moves. Oh, and just a quick heads up for you listening, our sources today feature some incredibly heated, politically charged rhetoric from all sides.
Yeah, very heated.
Right, so we want to make it perfectly clear that we are not taking sides or endorsing any viewpoints here. We are simply impartially reporting the facts contained in the source material.
Exactly. We're just looking at the mechanics of this structural fracture.
Right, so setting the scene here. Following the U.S. military operation against Iran, President Trump basically declared the Iranian Navy destroyed. I think he claimed like 158 ships sank. And then he orders a total U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah. Right. And the expectation from Washington was just that NATO allies would immediately fall in line and enforce that blockade.
Which they didn't. Key allies, specifically the UK and France, just outright refused. It kind of reminds me of, when a friend starts a massive bar fight and demands you jump in.
Oh, right. I see where you're going with this.
And then they get absolutely furious when you suggest, maybe we'd call a cab instead.
Yeah.
Europe wanted a separate, strictly defensive maritime mission.
Exactly. And because Europe refused to back that blockade, Trump completely inverted the script. I mean, he was furious at the lack of support.
Yeah, he weaponized the American protection.
He really did. He publicly dismissed NATO as a paper tiger, complaining that the U.S. wastes, trillions protecting Europe from Russia.
Trillions.
Yeah, and he even threatened to re-examine the alliance entirely.
Which leads us to that disastrous White House meeting.
Oh, right. The 2.5-hour meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte.
Yeah, the one that reportedly just devolved into this massive tirade of insults. It got so derailed that Trump actually took to social media right after to demand Denmark hand over Greenland.
I mean, the sheer panic that created in European capitals is just, it cannot be overstated.
I can imagine.
You have the leader of the most powerful military in the alliance publicly questioning its foundational principle of mutual defense. Dutch General Onno Eichelheim publicly called Trump's rhetoric not wise.
That is putting it mildly.
Right, but he was desperately trying to maintain public faith in the alliance's mutual defense clause.
And, when geopolitical shifts like this happen, it creates massive market volatility, which, just a quick nod here, is exactly where VirPoint's trading tools allow you to seamlessly capitalize on those market moves.
Right, exactly.
But looking at Europe's actual military readiness, leaning on a mutual defense clause isn't an actual physical shield. They are scrambling right now.
They really are. NATO agreed to boost defense spending to 3.5% of GDP by 2035.
But that takes a lot of time.
It does. Pumping money into budgets doesn't yield immediate results. It takes 5 to 10 years to build heavy manufacturing supply chains, train personnel, and get everything integrated so Europe can handle like 60 to 70% of its own defense.
So that creates a gap.
Right, a highly dangerous vulnerability window between now and 2030 where Europe is deeply exposed.
And during that window, Turkey is making some huge strategic maneuvers, using this rift to demand a much larger role in Europe's defense architecture.
Oh, absolutely. They are explicitly reminding their allies about the Kurachik radar.
Because it's not just standard tech.
No, its geographic proximity to Iran makes it the only realistic early warning system Europe has against Iranian missiles. Turkey basically holds a unique physical chokehold over European safety, and they're leveraging this chaos to extract strategic concessions.
So to sum it up for you listening, despite the bitter rhetoric and power grabs, this alliance is currently hanging by a thread of just sheer mutual necessity. Plus, those 80,000 U.S. troops still stationed in Europe.
Yeah, it is a raw calculation of survival. They absolutely need each other to face external threats, regardless of how dysfunctional the internal relationship has become.
But consider this to end on. If Europe successfully navigates this vulnerability window and builds its own fully independent military capacity by 2035 to protect itself without Washington's help, will the NATO alliance eventually dissolve into two completely separate, competing military spheres? Something for you to ponder.